Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to talk about the STANAG, most oftenly associated with this magazine. But there's more to that standardization agreement, which is what STANAG stands for. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, and also show you two very cool rifles that use a STANAG standardized something, which is what we're going to talk about in today's video. But before we get started, if you guys enjoy the content that we produce here at the Military Arms channel, please take a moment to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Also hit that little notification bell and comment down below. It helps us with the algorithms, and we love reading those comments and answering any questions you guys may have. With that being said, let's get started with today's video. If you guys haven't checked out Primary Arms online, please swing by and check out their website. They have all sorts of inventory that ranges from firearms to accessories, really good prices, fast shipping, outstanding customer support. If you use the code MAC and you purchase a PA branded optic or red dot sight with a magnified optic, you'll get a free scope mount with that MAC code. Or if you pick up a red dot sight or a prism sight, you'll get a free kill flash anti-reflective device. So please check out primaryarms.com. This is the Malcolmar CETME LV. LV means that it has this welded on scope mount. So many of you would think of the STANAG magazine and perhaps think that describes the magazine only. And again, STANAG is an abbreviation for Standardization Agreement. And within that agreement, there were a multitude of different things that were agreed upon across the NATO states. The STANAG magazine was only one of them. This would be another example of a STANAG part. And this is a scope mount that's welded to the L version, thus making it the LV. And it uses a standard mounting system for this Inosa 4-power optic. The mounting holes, the thread pitch, all that stuff is identical to scope mounts that would have been used by Germany, the claw mounts. If you take one of the German optics off a claw mount, it would drop right onto the Spanish rifle, and vice versa. The FN FAL, there are top covers that you can slide onto the receiver that have a STANAG scope mount built into them. You could put this optic on that mount if you wanted to. Again, it's a standardized mounting system, and that goes back again to STANAG. And so with the LV that we have here, it's really interesting how the Spaniards set this rifle up. So the Spaniards wanted this to be a designated marksman's rifle and obviously be able to use STANAG optics, or optics that were capable of being mounted to a STANAG base. And Inosa made a daylight scope and a night vision optic, and you saw that briefly in the opening of this video. They both use the exact same mounting system. Now, there isn't a quick detach capability for this. You have to unscrew and tighten these two screws to go between the daylight optic and the night vision optic. But the idea was to ship both this daylight optic and the night vision optic in a little green box, and therefore the soldier would have the ability to pick one or the other. You still have iron sights built into the LV. So in this welded on base, you'll notice there's a dial here. This is very similar to an M16A1. This is how you would adjust your windage. You have an aperture sight here in the rear that's kind of buried in the sight mount that's welded to the receiver. And then up front, we have a standard post, and it's just kind of a fine post, but it's very similar again to the M16 series of rifles. And this is how you would adjust your elevation. Now, the CETME L is the 5.56 version, or I should say replacement of the CETME C, which was a 7.62x51 NATO rifle. And the Germans would also develop their own 5.56 roller delayed rifle that's very similar to this. You'll notice it has two push pins for takedown that can be stored in the stock. All this stuff is things that Germany got the idea from the Spaniards. A lot of people think the opposite is true. But anyway, so the Germans developed their own 5.56 version that was roller delayed, and this is the Spaniards version. There are no parts that are interchangeable, but they're very similar in operation, obviously, because again, they're using that roller delay system, thus making this a very mild, pleasant rifle to shoot. This rifle was again set up as a designated marksman's rifle, and I believe it was actually used in the first Gulf War. Now, the optic itself is a standard 4-power optic. It has a bullet drop compensator built into the top of it. You have this eye cup that's very similar to, say, a Soviet 1P29 optic that would be used on the AK-74. You can place your eye against it. Very mild recoiling rifle, so it's not going to hurt you, but it gives you a nice, bright view down range through the glass. And this scope actually has really good glass in it. Now the reticle in this is just a simple post. You have a post that on the bottom is your aiming point. You have another post coming down from the top with a gap in between, and then you have markings, little hash marks coming out to the side. But it's a very simple and easy to use optic. And a lot of people are going to complain that it looks goofy, that the cheek weld is going to be all wrong, but it's actually quite comfortable to use. So this is how it would be shot. I think it's even more comfortable, more ergonomic than the 1P29 would be on the AK-70, for example. And then if I want to use the iron sights, I use a lower cheek weld, and I can see right through the scope mount and see my sights, and I have access to my iron sights. So it's a pretty decent little setup. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock the bolt to the rear. Unlike the H&K, it has a very similar H&K style charging handle, but I can't pull it back and rotate it up to lock the bolt to the rear. I can pull it back, and I have a button here on the sight base. Push that across, that locks the bolt to the rear. Return the non-reciprocating charging handle forward, let it go. It has a detent that keeps it from moving back and forth during firing. I think I have 10 rounds loaded in this 20-round STANAG magazine. Put it into the rifle. Now I'm going to push the button on the opposite side of the sight tower. When I push that button, you'll notice it strips around and loads the rifle. All right, let's do a little bit of shooting with this rifle at 100 yards on the Challenge steel target. So Inosa, the manufacturer of this daylight optic, also manufactures this night vision optic, and they would be shipped in the same hard case for use with the rifle. So this is the exact same LV model as we just previously spoke about. So the mount is exactly the same, the iron sights being back here, exactly the same. Only thing different is I've mounted this light intensifying optic on it, a starlight scope, if you will. Now it uses the same STANAG base, so once again, this could be used on an HK claw mount, this could be used on an FN FAL top cover mount that was compatible with the STANAG system, and so that is the benefit, if you will, to using a standardized system, that all your NATO allies can use each other's equipment. So let's just briefly talk about this night vision optic, because if you've seen the ANPVS4, this is very similar to it, but actually this one has some features that I like about it. So on the end here, we have a daylight filter, and you'll notice there's 3 holes here. And this little lever here allows you to adjust the brightness, if you will. And so you would have to use this to sight the weapon in or to train with the weapon in daylight hours. At night, you would take this off, and then you would be able to use it as a starlight scope, if you will. Now this one has an eye cup on it. Once again, you have an ocular side adjustment here. And then on top, we have 3 controls, which I'll explain momentarily. But most notable is the fact that it uses AA batteries. We have a AA battery compartment here, and we also have a redundant AA battery compartment over here, so it can hold a total of 4 AA batteries. Now if you take a look on top of the optic, this is off. This just turns the optic on for observation purposes, and then when you flip it to R, that will illuminate the reticle. The reticle is a simple chevron with lines on either side of it, horizontal lines on either side of it. We have a gain adjustment, and then this is your reticle brightness adjustment. Now, I currently have it on, and I can see the reticle, but keep in mind, light's coming in through 3 holes, and so when using this, it's less than ideal. You're literally going to see 3 targets, and you have to pick the right one to shoot at. So it's kind of a janky arrangement, but it is what it is, and it's very similar to what the U.S. military would have used when we were using the ANPVS4 system. It's the daylight capable system for practicing and zeroing purposes. So let's do a little bit of shooting with this. Now you'll notice the eye relief, or I'm sorry, the cheek weld on this is much higher. It's still quite usable though, and you also have the capability, I have the bill of my cover on, but I can drop down and use the iron sights again with this setup. But this optic is very top heavy and awkward, but for the 1980s, this was actually a really good optic. And this would be better than anything the Soviets had at the same time period in terms of its capabilities. It's a very good starlight scope. That's what I've always known them as anyway. So let's do a little bit of shooting with it. The controls are identical. I've locked the bolt to the rear. I'm going to take some Federal. This is actual 5.56. This is M193 ball. I want to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition to the channel free of charge. It does help us out quite a bit. This is the ammo can that we're using the ammo out of. Great stuff. And they're also a military contract supplier. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and load the weapon up. And now I have 3 targets to choose from down there. This is a little bit awkward, but I should be able to make contact here. It's the bottom of the 3. Got to move it around here, and there he is right there. That's just entirely too much fun. So, yeah, that's just really, really cool. One of the things I've wanted to do is take this out and do coyote hunting with it, because this is classic 80s night vision stuff. And I just absolutely love the CETME rifles. These are still in current production. The daylight optic and the night vision optic were imported into the United States in pretty limited numbers, but you can still find them out there online. So if you do pick one of these up, you can still get the original optics for it, or because it's STANAG, you can pick up a German optic or, you know, a UK optic or something else like that and bolt it right to this system because it is that STANAG standard. I hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion about the STANAG standard and taking a look again at the CETME L series of rifles. I've fallen in love with these things. They're tremendously fun to shoot. Again, very soft shooting, and they're currently in production. Malcolmar can be found online, and yeah, you can pick one up for yourself. And if you're looking at these and you didn't quite understand what the mounting system was for, now you know. You can pick up any number of STANAG scopes out there, even if you can't find an ANOSA to go with it, that will mount to this rifle and allow you to shoot it with an optic. If you guys would like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel in the age of demonetization, please swing by and check out our Patreon page. There's a link in the video description below. You'll get early access to videos like this one. You'll have direct access to me. I answer all private communications. And we also have some other perks over there that you can check out if you swing by. Again, the link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, we have that little join button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Click that join button and consider supporting us here on YouTube. And last but not least, guys, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Thank you guys very much for 13 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.